You're listening to the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport Fan Network, and charity partners with Mentel, for county fans, by county fans.
Okay, guys, as we just heard, Bolton do get battered everywhere they go. So after a 5-0 victory at Edgeley Park, to get rid of those horrible, horrible demons of the Wycombe game, we have the delightful chance to talk about 5 amazing goals. And I've got Dan Caldwell with me, as always. Hi, Dan.
Evening. You all right?
I am good. I'm good. And we have a special guest with us today, a certain Mr. Johnson, but a younger, probably better looking version of Russ. It's his son, Dan. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very, very well after that weekend. Could not believe it. I was talking to various people in the concourse. I was thinking we were going to get tonked again, to be fair. So I don't even know why I'm bothering coming on this podcast and talking Stockport County, because I obviously know absolutely nothing. Anyway, so Dan, you are going to take us through the team.
Yep. So just bringing it up, the team that faced the Wanderers of Bolton Shire. Obviously, big change in goal with Ben in goal, which I think was a little bit unexpected because he's sort of stuck with him, but what it was. Ibi Toure is left centre back, Horsfall obviously is your main centre back, and Callum Connolly is your right centre back. We've obviously gone back to proper wing backs, as we should say, with Ryan Rydell on the left hand side and Macca being on the right. A midfield 2 of Lewis Bate and Ollie Norwood. And then for me, I would say it's a front 3 of Barry, Wootton and Collar. I know on the graphic at FotMob they had Collar sitting in the hole behind Barry and Wootton, but I think it was more of a front 3 when they were sort of looking to press and push on.
Any surprises in that team lineup for you, DJ?
No, not really. I mean, the only thing that before the game that I was a little bit iffy on was Toure being left centre back, but he's proven us wrong on lots of accounts this season, so I'm not even going to question that decision anymore. No, I mean, the return of the 2 wing backs was definitely welcome, especially with them both just coming out of injury. Thought it might have been a little bit bold maybe to play Macca because you know how injury prone he is and how he's just come back. But no, I mean the players who came out into the pitch certainly deserve to be out on that pitch.
Yeah. I mean, you've touched on so many things there. Let's start with the two wing backs. So that's the first time that those 2 have been on the pitch from the start this season. And I've been pretty critical of Dave for continuing to play with these wing backs, playing Diamond or Fevrier there. Even Toure himself isn't really a wing back. He doesn't get forward particularly well. Dan, do you think the decision to play those 2 and to see them play made such a difference in the end to how we managed to, beat Bolton by 5 goals?
Yeah, I mean, I say it goes back to something that looked familiar to County under Dave Challoner. It looked front footing. It looked same again. When we said this before, you've got someone like Carl Wootton that scores goals in the 6-yard box. You look at all these goals; they all come from within the 6-yard box. So you have to give him a supply and a service, and that's what we did. And just little things as well. There was one little incident where Macca sort of got stuck in, and that made a real tackle, and it just got the Cheadle end up on it, roaring. It just got people going, and it's just there. There were it's such a hard game to pick out individuals on their own for man of the match. As Tuesday night was, how do you pick a man of the match out of that shower compared to how do you pick a man of the match out of the Bolton game? Because everybody played their part.
Yeah, great point. I mean, you made that point about Maka and that tackle. Obviously, I think the one you're talking about was in the first half. It was done on the right hand side, obviously, and he went in full blooded. I think most of the ground were thinking, "How are you going to come out of that tackle? Are you going to start limping?" But he got up, puffed his chest out, and I was thinking, he's back. He put a decent tackle in as well for the first goal as well, didn't he? Right on the halfway line. And the ball, I think, fell to Lewis Bate, who sent it out to Louis Barry, did a bit of a jinky run, checked back, put it into Will Collar, who obviously scored. So that first goal, DJ, we saw an assist from Barry. Again, we have sort of said on this podcast before, he doesn't pass the ball enough. And that was his first assist of 2 in that game. How do you think Louis Barry played?
I think Louis Barry was phenomenal against Bolton. I think one thing that helped him a lot as well is that every time he ran forward, he wasn't only cutting inside. That's something I've noticed with him. He likes to cut inside. He does it a lot. So the fact that he went on the outside and then checked back to put a ball back in, the defenders thinking he's going to cut inside, it's difficult to defend against. And the fact that Louis Barry's now going out wide, coming and then cutting back, it's just making so many different more things available for him to do. Like he can go do that cut back, run in and have a shot. You never know what he's going to do anymore. So the fact that he's now also passing the ball as well, him being just that little bit more unpredictable, is going to really drive us forward in the season.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there was a link between Barry and Collar. I think they linked up together for Barry's goal against Reading. And it's the same sort of thing. Barry getting to the byline. We've said this before. If we can get players to the byline and cut it back or cross it from the byline and attack the ball, and have the defenders on the back foot, then we look a good team. When we look like we're going to score goals. When we try and cross the ball in from 30 yards into the box and we give the defenders an opportunity to attack the ball and defend it, then we struggle a little bit. But I think we just played to our strengths as a team on Saturday, and it just, like you say, Barry had plenty of opportunity. Like you say, he's one of them that, like you say, maybe we thought he was getting a little bit of a one-trick pony, maybe, and he was getting found out, and they thought, right, we'd stick 2 players on him, mark him out the game. He's got nothing to offer. I think what Barry's done, and like I say, it has been mentioned. Like I say, you mentioned it, Dave Chandler's mentioned about his assists and stuff like that. Basically, you've got to be a little bit less selfish and pass the ball. Well, we're seeing another level to his game, I think, now, and seeing what you can actually offer, not just as a goal scorer, but actually a goal creator and provider.
My brother was there, by the way, again. So I can
come again next time then.
Exactly. So he's seen 2 5-0s now, one way and one the other way. I'm just going to sort of continue on the Louis Barry thing, and I think the fact that we had Rydell playing, and obviously we only got 60 minutes out of him, but how refreshing was it, DJ, that we saw Rydell getting past Barry? That's something Toure doesn't do as a wing back enough for me. Rydell was getting past him, and he puts quality into the box. If we can keep him fit, I mean, in fairness, just before we scored, Horsfall had a header, didn't he? Before that first goal, straight at the keeper. That was from a Rydell free kick, just showing that quality that he can do. So yeah, DJ, what do you think of getting Rydell back in and his ability to make those overlapping runs?
It just gives us that extra option on attacking on that left-hand side. I mean, I've already spoken about how Barry's I want to say the form style of play. If he carries it on, it's going to be amazing. But the extra options he's added to an attack is already making defenders on pins on that side. And now if we're going to do an overlap as well, it's just going to create so many little inroads for us to properly form different styles of attacks and make sure that we always have a way to go forwards. Rydell's crosses as well. With Wootton being like a big lad, he can try and get his head on stuff. If we get Horsfall into the box, as we showed multiple times against Bolton, he is a threat from the back post. If we have Rydell trying to hit him from free kicks and corners and stuff, it's going to pose a massive threat just in general.
Yeah,
and I think it also makes defenders think twice as well, because instead of doubling up just on Barry, you then have somebody else who's coming from deep who's dangerous. You got Barry who can then occupy slightly different spaces, and we'll talk about this on the fourth goal actually, because he popped up in a place that I certainly wasn't expecting him to score. Cool. Okay, so first goal, super important, obviously, especially after the previous game. If you go 1-0 down after being tonked 5-0 like the previous week, maybe confidence could have been an issue, but we just went from strength to strength, I think.
It was still a bit nervy though. Did you think I first 10 minutes though, I was, like I say, nervy, and I know you said, like you say, in the courtyard you were a little bit the jeopardy of the game, should we say, because we've got no right to turn up and expect we're going to beat anybody, and as we've seen, we can win 5-0 or we can lose 5-0. But yeah, I just thought we were just a little bit nervy to start off with. We did some good passes of play, but Bolton, same again, looked quite of a threat. They were passing the ball about. I thought Bolton started quite well as well, and it was one of them games where I thought this could go either way, and I thought it could be one goal decides it type of game, and so yeah, it was a bit of a nervy one until we scored that first goal.
I personally didn't feel that nervy about it, because we've seen County defend those positions so many times and just be fine so many times. And Tuesday aside, it just felt like some routine defending. Like, they had the ball, but they weren't doing much with it really. They had one or two chances, but barring those, they didn't create loads. So when we went and got ours, it didn't feel like they had any bite back whatsoever.
I think what I felt was different once the game kicked off is that we seemed very organised, having that balance of Maka and Rydell, having Norwood and Bate, who both of them played brilliantly, to be fair. I mean, we've sort of questioned Norwood's form since maybe his first game. Has he really affected the game that much? But I thought those two as deep line midfielders, and it was a slight tweak to the formation from how we lined up against, in fairness, Reading and Wycombe, where we had some, like, was it Fiorini? Did he start both of them? But yeah. Bate was on his own as that deep line midfielder with sort of Fiorini and Collar a little bit further forward. So having the two in front of the centre-backs. And I've also got to say, as much as I love Adai, Ben did seem to calm everything down. He commands his box a lot better. He's quicker off his line. We saw that in the first 5 or 10 minutes. He came out quickly, and he's always on his toes, waiting to come out, and that just allows the defenders to think, okay, well, I don't have to worry too much because Ben's going to mop up some stuff behind me.
That's experience. I think that all comes down to experience. Adai's still young, so if we keep on persisting with Adai, and letting him you've got to let young players make mistakes, otherwise they won't learn, pretty much. So if we just keep persisting with Adai, and if he keeps on watching Ben play and how Ben plays, I think Adai will become just as good, if not better, because of his his passing out the back ability. But for now, yeah, Ben for me is just a lot more of a secure goalkeeper. He doesn't feel like as much of a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a hard one, I think, like you say, because we know what Ben offers, and we've seen the qualities of Adai as well, Corey. Nobody is perfect. That's why obviously they're playing at League One. If they were better than what they are, they would be playing in the Championship or the Premier League. So we know that every player that's in this squad has got possibility to improve, or weaknesses and strengths to their game. And it's, some games Corey will be the better player to play, sometimes not. That game, I think, like you say, Dave Challenger's just got his team selection absolutely, formation, tactics to the absolute T again, hasn't he?
He did say in his post-match that he sort of alluded to the fact that maybe Adai's confidence is a little bit shot. He's been taking a lot of unnecessary pelters from people in the Cheadle end, and we've discussed this before. And Dave did actually say, didn't he, that he almost wanted to, in a roundabout fashion, he wanted to take him out the firing line and put somebody in who wasn't going to get pelters from the Cheadle end.
Yeah.
I mean, you said, DJ, that he's a young keeper. Arthur Okonkwo is 23. He's at Wrexham, obviously. Corey's 27. I know it's young in keeper terms, but he's not been brought into the team or into the club to be a youth team player to eventually take over the gloves from Ben. I think he's been brought in as number one, and it's not worked yet. I think that would be the concern that I would have if I was Dave and Simon Wilson and stuff.
Yeah, that's a very, very fair point, to be fair. But also we do, like, Ben. We do have Ben in there still. It's like we've not tried to push him out for a reason, haven't we? We let him have a little bit of a crack at League One because we know he's a strong, experienced goalkeeper who has pulled, like, how do you phrase it? It's like delivered in the big moments. So because Adai is like young in keeper terms, obviously. He's still got a lot to learn if he's been brought in as a number one or not. So having Ben in there still is, I think, pretty important for Adai, just to, gel into the club, maybe, learn a thing or two. I just think it's important for that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we just go through the stats on the first half, very different actually to the second. So first half, we had 37 to 63% possession. We had an XG of 0.42 versus 0.05 for them. 7 shots on goal for us, 4 on target. They had 2 and none on target, which, again, obviously with Ben being in nets, you don't rely on him having to make any saves if the team isn't getting any shots on target. Obviously, a good shot stopper anyway. But they had way more passes than us. Just trying to look now. So, yeah, they had around 260, 270 passes, 80% accurate, and we had 150 odd, 68% accurate. But I did not feel, I mean, like I was talking to Chloe at half time and I was going through the FOTMob stats. I did not think they had that much possession. They didn't do anything with it, did they?
Yeah. I think that's the thing, though. If you have all the possession but do nothing with it, then what's the point in having the ball? You've got to go forward and try and win it. You can't sit back the entire time and expect to get 3 points.
But isn't that also what our biggest fault has been at times, that we've had lots and lots of possession, but we've had it in our final third and passing it about between 3 or 4 players at the back and not actually done anything with it, where, like you say, we've gone the opposite way on Saturday, where we've said, you can have the ball, we're going to press you. As soon as you get to that halfway line, we're going to snap at you, which is what a lot of the goals came from, winning the ball high up the pitch. And we've turned them over quickly and in transition and, got out of them. Same again, like we said before, set pieces again. We looked an absolute threat on, where we've criticised the set pieces. Like you said before, we scored. Fraser had a cracking header where the goalkeeper's actually pulled off a really, really good save. And even before that, I think Louis Barry got a shot away where the goalkeeper's the same again, made another good save. So that first half, we've gone in obviously 1-0 up, but we could have really. I think Bolton had one chance where the defenders headed it over the bar, but Ben looked like he had it covering if it was going to go underneath it. But we really sort of could have been 3-0 up at that point, I think, at half time.
Yeah, no, indeed. So moving into the second half, that was probably one of the most enjoyable second halves that I've ever had at Edgeley Park. The stats tell it all. We'll ignore the possessions. As we've said, it doesn't matter. But XG 1.67 to us, 0.07 to them. I mean, that is a poor showing, isn't it, from a team who have got aspirations for promotion. We had 8 shots. They had 2. 6 on target. We've been a little bit critical sometimes of us not getting those shots on target. But we got 6 on target in that second half, obviously scoring 4 of them. So I think if we talk about the second goal, can anyone remember the second goal? Louis Barry cross from the left-hand side. It came after a really fast start, didn't it, to that second half? We were sort of pinning them back. Cross from Barry. I think the ball had been recycled a couple of times. Bate was, I mean, he was the supporters man of the match, sponsors man of the match, and we'll talk about him later. But I thought he was absolutely unplayable today. He was brilliant. So he sort of farmed it out to Louis Barry, who crossed it in, and Horsfall is just, it's like magnetic head, wasn't it? Everything was falling to him. Yeah. He forced in another amazing save from. I don't know how the hell the keeper got to that one. And then Wootton comes in. I'm thinking he's going to stick this over the bar. It's difficult. It's coming at him at a strange angle. He's a little bit unbalanced, and he just smacks it in 2-0.
And we're all thinking he must be offside. Because obviously the Bolton defender's got his hands up in the air, waving around. As soon as Horsfall actually struck at it, he's waving around, thinking it's offside. So we're all looking on, is that offside? Is it offside? No, it's a goal. But yeah, like I say, I think the key point there is Horsfall involved again, and same again. He could have had an hat-trick, Fraser, in all fairness. We asked the question, I think, last week, does he score enough goals for us? He definitely was on the hunt for goals, I think, today, on Saturday. But yeah, like you say, good reflexes from Wootton. Wootton, another player for us, we've said, got absolutely, unfortunately, slated unfairly on BBC Radio Manchester that during the week. And like I say,
I didn't hear that, Dan. What was said?
Unfortunately, there was a fan on there on Wednesday with myself and on BBC Radio Manchester that told everybody that he hates Carl Wootton and that the presenter of BBC Radio Manchester, Gaz, could do a better job up front than Carl Wootton, which I said, as you know, Jimmy, we both sat together and listened, 3-0 up at Notts County, and you got fans behind us slagging Wootton off left, right and centre last season when we're 3-0 up away at Notts County. I thought, and I think the Cheadle end recognised that, because I think they started singing his name within minutes of the start of the game. And like you say, I thought he was out. He was unplayable. I thought, compared, he tussled, he hustled, I thought he was unplayable, Wootton, to be honest. And I think 80%, 90% of teams in League One off that performance would love Carl Wootton in their team. The fact that he got to the ball, the desire, the want, the will, he was brilliant.
I think one thing Wootton has really improved on since last season as well is that he's making a lot more. If you've noticed, with like Ben has the ball or with Horsfall has the ball, and they're trying to look for a forward pass, he's always trying to make a little bit of movement in and amongst the centre backs, like running across them a little bit, and it's really creating a couple of inroads. Like if he flicks it on, Collar runs onto it, and there's a little bit of space now in the middle of the box, and somebody needs to get on the end of it, pretty much. Yeah. So with Wootton, I think because he's not like as flashy as someone as Barry, people tend to see him as being worse when he, in actuality, is just being much more of a team player than Barry is, so to speak.
Yeah. And same again, it's been said before, even Dave Challen has said it, Wootton needs to be fed. He needs crosses to come into the box. He's got all his goals so far this season have come in the 6-yard box. So he needs to be fed balls into him, and he will fight for them, and he will get on the end of them. Some will be scrappy. He doesn't score. Like when he was at Notts County, I always remember seeing Carl Wootton goals where he's smashing it in from 18 yards, or he's turned the defender and just hit it first time and it's gone in. Going back to the first half, though, I don't know if you remember when he's had a chance from our own half.
Yes.
Which, like I say, that for me would have been, Louis Barry, you've just lost your goal of the season competition before you even scored what might be or might not be the goal of the season. You've lost it because the Carl Wootton has just won it hands down. But yeah, it was a bit. But yeah, no, like I said, I thought very hard to pick man of the match. I think they all stepped up in one way or another. But for me, Carl Wootton showed what he actually offers that team, because let's be honest, that the Bolton centre back, He's a seasoned pro. He's a big old unit. 90 minutes, and Carl was off his feet after 80 minutes. He was just running on adrenaline at the last 10 minutes, I thought. But going toe to toe with him must be like doing 5 rounds with Tyson Fury. It must have been absolutely zapping. And say the Bolton backline defense. I'd be surprised they'll say they've had a tougher game against one individual player for the rest of the season than what they've had against Carl Wootton.
We did pull them all over the place as well, really effectively, and they seem to allow us a lot of space down the channels. So we exploited that, whether it was Ben making some really good long kicks, or whether it was Horsfall or Norwood with his sort of raking cross-field diagonal passes. There was a lot of space to run into those channels. And the beautiful thing with Wootton is that he is a big guy, but he's got a bit of pace about him, and he's willing to do that running and willing to do that press. So although it's very easy to sometimes pigeonhole Wootton as being, oh, he's the target man. Oh, Tanto, he's the guy with the pace and the guy that runs in the channels. Actually, both of them, I don't know, it's because they're working with each other, but they're both finding improvements in the bit of their game that the other one is good at. So we've noticed over the last sort of 6-9 months, Tanto's a lot better at holding the ball up. He was pants when he first arrived at the club at that. Yeah. He's way better at that. And the same with Wootton. He's now good at running down the channels and causing problems there. Good. So amazing time to score the second goal. Obviously, 47 minutes. It really puts a knife through their team talk at half time. 8 minutes later, 55 minutes, you've got a Norwood corner to the far post. Super horsefall, super magnetic head horsefall, header at the back, keeper no chance, 3-0.
And amazing, same again. Things that we criticised during the week and previously, set pieces, corners, not making their man, not beating their first man. Probably one of the best corners you probably see all season. The way that was floated in, perfect height, just out the reach of the keeper, or the keeper not coming for it. And like you say, Horsfall standing his ground mainly, being strong and getting his head onto it, not being pushed out, not being looking to head it back. He was determined to score. I think, like you say, he was determined to score, determined to get on there, and the desire to do that obviously showed.
Yeah, touching on the fact that Horsfall hasn't scored much for us, really, has he? But against Bolton, he just honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a centre back who could have scored more goals in one game before. Genuinely, he just seemed to absolutely bully any Bolton lad who was trying to mark him. It was a bit surreal. I've never seen him play like that before, but he's welcome to play like that again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's funny how teams tend to stick to this formula of defenders mark attackers and attackers mark defenders. But if I were Bolton, I'd have put my best header, i.e. Santos, onto Horsfall and ignored anybody else, because he is our danger man, isn't he? We've said it over the last few weeks now. It's almost getting boring saying it. Whether he is a goal threat himself or whether he's knocking it back across the goal, he is the guy that we seem to aim for every single corner. And if you've got Rydell on one side and you've got Norwood on the other, you're going to get some quality delivery. In fact, I was watching the extended highlights. I don't know if anybody's seen them, but there's got a Bolton commentator on, I think. And just before we score the third, he said, "Oh, and here's Ollie Norwood coming over for the corner. He's very dangerous. He's a very good player to have on set piece duties." And then 5 seconds later, boom, finds Horsfall's head. So at 3-0, are we thinking the game is done?
I fear that if we chucked away a 3-0 lead at that point, then the world will go implode on itself. And, I'll be turning social media off and all things off and just getting on the train back to sunny Suffolk with not looking at anything county related for about a week, because it'll just be an implosion if we end up chucking away a 3-0 lead at that way. So but they've gone hungry again, haven't they? You could see that they weren't going to play out for a 3-0 win. They were on the hunt.
Yeah, and 7 minutes later, another goal. Do you want to talk us through it, Dan, if you can remember it? DJ? Louis Barry.
Oh, yeah, a Bolton playing the ball around the back.
Yes.
Very, 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 very simple, wasn't it? Just keeper to centre back, left back to centre back, and he just makes an absolute hash of it. And Louis Barry, out of literally nowhere, just pops up, gets one touch on the ball, and slots it right into the bottom corner. And I don't think I've ever seen such a. It was quite a like a sad goal. You know what I mean? I was watching it like from a goalkeeper's point of view, because and I was just thinking, what have you done there, lad? What have you done?
Don't you think it was a county goal though? Don't you think it was county-esque? That's the sort of goal that we've actually been conceding lately. And I just thought it was that. That's what the Bolton was like. Have you been watching us all season? Because you're actually now starting to play like us a little bit when we're off our game, and because that goal we have conceded, where we've 3 or 4 passes and we're playing it into alleys and dark passageways, and and we're playing ourselves into trouble, and that's what Bolton did. And yeah, I just thought that was a very county-esque goal for Bolton to give away.
I don't think we're going to see much of that for the rest of the season. That old sort of Adai to defender back to Adai back to the defender to another defender, and then just hoof. I don't think we're going to see that. If we can keep the 2 wing backs fit, we've got more balls in which we can play. So 55 minutes, third goal. 60 minutes, we made a slew of substitutions, if I remember rightly. I am going to tell you who came on. No. So we brought on Sam Hughes. Oh, yeah. Teo Adaramola, and then Fevs and Bailey came on sort of 9 minutes later. And the thing which tickled me is we've all been talking about Toure. Can he play left-sided centre-back? Fuck it, let's put him at right-sided centre-back and play Connolly at left-sided centre-back and really take the piss. And it really worked, didn't it? Because all the balls that they had to defend seemed to come onto their favoured foot.
Yeah.
It was great. Brilliant.
In all fairness,
I'm not going to lie.
Toure has probably been a very steady player all season, and he's been for me a solid 7 out of 10 every game. He's not let anybody down. Last season he got a bit with confidence put in the wrong position, you'd say, but after that performance, same again. You saw it. He's left centre back, a little bit nervy. He was. Ethan Pye is a very, very lucky man, on the basis that Toure's not available for Wrexham next week because he's playing international. So Ethan Pye can get back into that team, because if Toure wasn't going playing international football next weekend, Ethan Pye does not get back in that team, in that position, after that performance by Toure. So Ethan Pye is a very, very lucky man, and he's got to step it up, Ethan, because if not, Toure's shown in that position he can play in that position. So competition for spaces, but Ethan's a very, very lucky man.
Yeah, and Ethan's also, I think it'd be fair to say, I mean, I'm one of his greatest fans, don't get me wrong, but maybe the last few games he's not hit the heights or the standards that he set himself. And yeah, I think you're right. He's going to have to play really well against Wrexham, and I mean, I guess he may play on Tuesday because. Oh no, I guess Toure will play on Tuesday if he's still around. I don't know when he goes off his international duty stuff. Maybe he's gone already. But yeah, we'll see. And then a personal favourite in the Harmer household, seeing as Odin Bailey is I think everybody knows, one of Chloe's favourite players. I've been saying that for the last couple of years. So nice for him. Lovely bit of work between Norwood and Bate. Bate finding some space, pops it into Bailey, does a neat little turn, does his defender, just runs a bit more, and then no backlift, smacks it in from 20 yards out. and you could tell how much it meant to him, couldn't you, after scoring that? And his teammates. And I love it when your teammate, when you see like the whole squad all just rush to a player that you think, yeah, you need that goal. Out of everybody on that pitch, you probably needed that because he hadn't scored all season, has he?
Yeah. No, it's same again. Something that we cry out about a bit. Just have a shot, shoot, and take a chance. And like you say, executed really, really well. 2 weeks ago, if I'd had that shot, it would have gone high up into upper tier one. And you just see the confidence in just the team, the players, everybody just sort of coming back. And it's weird, like I say, we see it disappear so quickly, but how quickly it also can come back in 60 minutes of performance. And, he took it, like I say, got his chance, took it. But same again, all the substitutes that came on offered something, all had an impact in the game. Nobody let anybody down. Nobody, even Febs that came on got, the ball a few times, offered an outlet, a few decent runs. But yeah, no, like I say, over the moon with it. And just the fact that, like I say, a chance came along and he's took it. He's a couple of weeks ago, would he have squared that ball, passed it on to somebody else for them to take the shot and not actually took the responsibility? Because I think at times it felt like that with players attacking. There'd be one pass too many, where he's actually just got his foot through it and took the shot, and he's got the rewards for it.
It seemed like almost, like, and I say almost too easy. It was too easy. Literally, he got the ball, span round, ran forward, and just had a crack. Like Bolton collapsed. Were basically, they'd already collapsed. They were 4-0 down, but they just seemed to have literally no hope at all. Nobody stood him up, and he just saw the chance and he went for it. And as you said, he was the player that needed to have that confidence boost, because let's be honest, he's not been good at all recently. But to see him just nice with a really nice technique and power right into that bottom corner, just hope he builds on that now.
Yeah, indeed. So if we move on to man of the match, so that, as I said before, the sponsors man of the match was Lewis Bate. Another busy performance. FOTMob had Barry with his goal and 2 assists. He's got an 8.8, so very, very good score there. Dan Culverwell, who was your man of the match?
I'd have given it to Wootton personally, but same again. The only player that probably didn't deserve it, but he didn't have a game, was Ben. Didn't make a single save during the game, but it doesn't mean that he had a bad game. He offered something as well to the team. Nobody had a bad game. Toure, I thought, was absolutely outstanding. Maka offered something, like you say, that tackle that he made just lifted everybody, lifted the tempo, lifted the atmosphere. Dave said it before that the fans give the players something, but the players must give the fans something to get behind them, and he did. So yeah, but if I had to pick one player for me, Wootton, I just thought he was a man on a mission. And same again, and hopefully now people start realising actually what he does actually offer the team.
What about you, Dan Johnson?
I'm probably going to say Horsfall, just because he's shown us that he's got when it comes off, he's got a completely extra dynamic to the game that he can bring. It's quite cliche, the big man at the back. We've not seen him do it, but when he has done it, it's like thingy. You said he almost got a hat trick. Like, he could have scored a hat trick. It was absolutely absurd. And then on top of that, he's just solid again, wasn't he? He's Mr. Consistent, and yeah, I just think that if he carries on like this, we're going to be well set.
It was almost Jim Gannon-esque, wasn't it? His performance, like just keeping on finding those headers at the far post. Well, I'm going to go with Louis Barry, because I've been the guy scored tons of goals for us, and I've been critical because he's not got his assists and things. And he's probably won man of the matches on single moments, like single really good goals. But I think his overall play in this game, the 2 assists, the goal that he scored, he really, really deserved that man of the match out of all the other ones that he's probably got 4 or 5 this season already, but that one should have been his. So well done, Louis Barry. I'm giving that to you. Keep it up, mate. We love you. And I just want to say one other thing as well, just very quickly. Jaden Fevrier, obviously, he's been a bit of a bit part recently, and I think he's probably going to continue to be so now that we've got our right-sided wing-back back, because he was sort of playing in that sort of area as well. And I just want to say that what a lovely guy I think he is. And like whenever anybody else scores a goal, you can see how absolutely delighted he is for them. Like at the end of the game, he went over to Odin Bailey and he was just like hugging him and sort of shaking him, saying, "Oh, well done for scoring your goal." And that's the sort of people that you want in your team. You want people that celebrate other people's successes. So I know he's not playing massively, but I can see that he's a real diamond. Yeah. Not a Jack Diamond, but a diamond in the dressing room. So yeah, that's great.
It is half, like mental state. It is half the battle in sport. If you're feeling like you're not going to play well, you're not going to play well. So if you've got somebody there that's constantly motivating you as a player, you're naturally just going to play with that little bit more confidence, and then you're going to go and do something like drill one into the bottom corner from outside the box.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Dan Culverwell, would you want that referee back at Edgeley Park?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I thought he had a good game. The only bizarre moment was obviously the one booking in the game for any team was the Will Collar booking. And I still don't know why he got booked, really. I couldn't understand it. That was the only bit that I'm scratching my head thinking out of the whole game and thinking, what's going on there? But, I thought he was all right. I mean, obviously, he will do because we won 5-0. But I thought realistically, it was probably a very easy game to referee. It wasn't a dirty game as such. Yes, there was a little bit of physical side of it, but I thought he was all right. But I'm still scratching my head over that booking.
Didn't even realise he got booked.
I think he picked the ball up and then dropped it again or something, and then the referee
I remember now. Yeah.
Something like that. But I think their other player had grabbed another ball from the side anyway, so he wasn't even going to. I don't know. But hey ho, one booking isn't the end of the world. So we've got a little thing to end the show with. So Dan Culverwell, you found this clip, didn't you? Do you want to introduce it and then we'll play it?
Yeah, it's basically from Simon Wilson's interview with John Kieran back in June in the summer, before we even kicked a ball in the pre-season friendly, before we went to Pinatar. It's just a little clip. It's a couple of minutes long. I think it's well worth revisiting and listening to what he's got to say. I'll just play it now.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye now, guys.
Medical, sports science, performance analysis, coaching, operations, contracts, renegotiations, all that sort of stuff is like that gives us all objectives to go after. And it's very clear in terms of like, okay, if we do that, that's what the reward's going to go and be. We're in this phase is very much in the unknown, because it will be, I would say 50% of the squad will be new this year.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that the recruitment's right. We're hoping they settle down quickly. We're hoping that we find a way that combinations of players that look good on paper actually come good on the pitch. So there's a little bit of that needs to go through. But I'm absolutely sure once we get that right, we're going to be a real threat in the league. And like I said, I genuinely think anything could happen this year.
Just finally, I mean, I know just from talking to fans how excited they are for next season. You can see that in record season ticket sales, sold out actually of season tickets now, I believe. Ground redevelopment plans got to sort of 18,000, which is phenomenal. After another promotion, the team, as you say, it looks fresh, it looks hungry. And do you have to keep a lid on it at all? Are we getting a little bit too carried away or not?
I think as long as people can continue to enjoy the journey, I think we don't need to have expectations, I don't think, of either where we need to be, where we should be. I think we should just roll with it and see what happens this year. I think that, like I said, why put a lid on things? Why put a lid on what Dave Challoner, who's not yet managed in League One, or Ben Hinchliffe, who's not played in League One for a long time, or Ethan Pyatt? Why put a lid on what they can do? Why put a lid on some of the players that are coming in terms of, okay, new club, we probably need to expectation. Why not let them sort of blow the roof off in the first 6 months? Let's see what it all happens. We've certainly, what we're creating is a lot of potential, a lot of future possibilities. And it's going to come down to us collectively. And I always include the supporters in this because the environment that they create on a match day is massively important. Yeah. And we've got such a special environment. We continue to do that, and we'll continue to work collectively again. Like, let's see what can happen. If it takes a bit of time, if what I think it will be is a more dramatic season. We might have some big wins, big losses. We might have some, but not to lose the faith, and look forward to the next thing. And this is going to be a team and a club that continues to grow, and we want everyone part of that.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Scarf Bagara War. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Remember, you can catch us every week on your favourite podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. And a huge thank you to all of our Patreon members. Your contributions help keep the show running to bring the content you love. If you'd like to support the podcast and get access to exclusive special guest episodes, ad-free podcasts and a monthly giveaway, head over to patreon.com/the Scarf Bagara War. And don't forget to follow us on social media for updates, behind the scenes content and more. You can find us on X, Facebook and Instagram, all at County Podcast. Lastly, if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and share it with your fellow County fans. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Scarf Bagara War. Come on, County!